The rain had been falling over Brisbane for hours. The usually busy riverside paths were quiet that night. Most people had already gone home, choosing warmth and shelter over a walk along the Brisbane River. In a small park between the Go-Between Bridge and the William Jolly Bridge stood a simple riverside rotunda. Beneath it was a wooden bench. On that bench lay a young woman. A newspaper and a jacket covered her body. Anyone walking past would have assumed she was sleeping, or simply trying to stay dry from the storm. Several people passed by during the early hours of the morning. Some glanced at her. Others ignored her completely. No one realized that the woman lying there had been brutally attacked just hours earlier, and that she was still barely alive. Eventually, someone stopped and decided to check on her. When the newspaper and jacket were pulled away, the horrifying truth was revealed. The woman was naked. Her body showed clear signs of severe violence. She had been beaten, sexually assaulted, and robbed. Emergency services were called immediately, but it was already too late. The young woman had died. Police quickly sealed off the area and began a murder investigation. The victim had suffered dozens of injuries across her body. Investigators believed she had fought with everything she had to survive. During the struggle, she scratched her attacker, leaving DNA evidence beneath her fingernails. But the violence continued. After sexually assaulting her, the attacker robbed her of her belongings. He left Sophie lying beneath the rotunda, cold, injured, and alone. Doctors later determined something deeply tragic. Sophie did not die immediately. She survived for several hours after the attack. During that time, people walked past the bench where she lay covered in newspapers. They believed she was sleeping. They never realized how serious the situation was. By the time someone finally checked on her, it was already too late. The news of the murder quickly spread across Brisbane and beyond. The investigation grew rapidly. More than 60 police officers joined the case. Divers searched the river looking for Sophie's missing belongings. Investigators examined hours of CCTV footage from nearby streets, businesses, and train stations. Piece by piece, they began reconstructing the events of that night. Soon, detectives noticed a man appearing repeatedly in the footage. He had been seen near the park around the same time Sophie disappeared. His name was Benjamin James Millward. He was 25 years old. Millward had a long criminal history that included burglary, assault, robbery, and drug-related offenses. Police also discovered that he had been staying at a nearby homeless hostel, but on the night of the murder, he had not returned. Even more suspicious, he had disappeared. Police released his name and photo to the public and warned people not to approach him. A nationwide manhunt began. CCTV footage showed Millward boarding a train later that night at South Brisbane Station. He appeared restless and nervous in the recordings. After leaving the train, he began moving between towns, attempting to avoid police. For several days, he managed to stay out of sight, but the search continued. Eventually, a major breakthrough came. A hostel worker in another town recognized Millward and contacted authorities. Police moved quickly and arrested him less than 2 weeks after Sophie's murder. When officers took him into custody, Millward admitted parts of what had happened. He told police that earlier that day, he had taken large amounts of drugs, including crystal methamphetamine. He had also been drinking heavily. He claimed his memory was unclear because of the drugs, but he admitted that he had sexually assaulted Sophie. He admitted striking her during the attack, and he admitted leaving her there afterward. The scientific evidence was overwhelming. DNA taken beneath Sophie's fingernails was more than 1 million times more likely to belong to Millward than anyone else. Facing the evidence against him, Benjamin James Millward eventually pled guilty to rape and murder. The case moved to sentencing. Sophie's family traveled from France to Australia to attend the hearing. During the court proceedings, emotional statements were read, describing the impact of Sophie's death. Their family explained how their lives had been shattered by the loss. They spoke about her kindness, her energy, and the dreams she had for the future. The judge described the crime as brutal and senseless. She said Millward had attacked a defenseless young woman and shown no respect for her dignity or her life. Benjamin James Millward was sentenced to life in prison. He would have to serve at least 20 years before becoming eligible for parole. But for Sophie's family, no sentence could ever repair the damage that had been done. In Brisbane, the community gathered to remember her. More than 2,000 people attended a candlelight vigil. Students, families, and strangers walked together through the park where Sophie had been found. Candles flickered in the darkness as people stood in silence. Flowers and messages filled the area. Many of the people there had never met Sophie, but they still felt the loss deeply. Back in France, more than 1,200 people attended her funeral. Friends, family, and members of the community walked together in mourning. Music played as they said goodbye to a young woman whose life had been taken far too soon. Today, a memorial stands in Brisbane to remember Sophie. It features mountains representing the landscape near her hometown in France, and beside them is a butterfly. Her brother once shared that a few days after her death, a butterfly landed on his hand and stayed there for several minutes. For him, it felt like a quiet moment of comfort during an unbearable time. Sophie Collombet was only 21 years old. She had traveled across the world to study, explore, and build a future. Her story is a painful reminder that violence can destroy lives in an instant, but it is also a reminder of something else. Sometimes, a simple act of awareness, stopping to check on someone who might be in trouble, can make the difference between life and death.